Shalom. So I was saying all praises to Yahweh, or Hashem, Yahweh, or Hashem, or Gosh. Double honors is held apostles of grace from you well. So hopeful that. Alright, but Hebrew Israelites who come out every week to prophesy the downfall of his kingdom. He spoke of in the Holy Bible, alright, in books such as Revelation, being known as Babylon the Great, is one of the main titles that this world has, really starting with America. America's a whore that set upon the beast that set upon many horses. Sorry. And with that being said, this world is drawing its end, right? We're seeing, day to day, we're seeing many things happen. Day by day, we're seeing many things happen as far as prophetic events happen to the unwinding this kingdom, right? It's falling apart. So, yeah, different things happen throughout the course of this week. So, like, the main thing being is that what's his main thing? Apple technology said they want to start putting the computers and the chips in people's minds. That's a great leap found. We can get into that article. So that's a great leap found as far as beast technology. Because in Revelation 13, what it says no man saying, no, bro. You don't know what we've been doing. You don't know what we're doing. I've got a feeling on it. No. Have a good day, man. Enjoy it. I'm just like, God is good. That's good. That's good. They can hear you. Take care, man. We don't know what you're going to do, though. We don't know.
I'm going to know, but I have no idea.
It's all good, bro.
You ain't fucking Muslim.
No, we're Christians.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I ain't fucking Muslim.
I hear what you're saying.
No, listen, I was going to struggle with that place.
I
want to strangle that. No.
Hey, we're recording. We're recording. I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't want to get you cancelled on Twitter.
I'm a nomad.
Alright. That's alright. Alright, take care, man.
Fuck Muslim.
I
hope they're all fucking dying hell.
You're gonna get in trouble, mate. You're gonna get in trouble. No, you're gonna get Yeah. That's alright. Take care.
There's more people like me.
I know there is.
Right?
Have a good one,
This is a good country. It's a Christian country.
Yeah.
This is a Christian country. I live in the country.
Yeah.
Sharia law can fuck off. No,
I already know what you're saying.
No, it can. It can fuck off. That's the truth. There's more people, more than you know.
I know. Have a good day, man. Have a good day. Take care, man. Easy. I didn't know what he was going to come with. That's what I was like, bro. I was like, man's already. I just knew the geezer and he's licked. I see all of them. I was like, bro, he's licked. Yeah. But I know that too. You don't have to tell me that to know that. No, I already know. Yeah. I know that it's fucking well. That's a bit. The man are taking up the mantle of God wills it. Oh yeah, they're taking up that man. Because even with that, it's these men are like on Twitter. Since they got unsealed, when unsealed Twitter, then lo and behold, it all comes out. Hey man, yeah, it is what it is, man. You heard what Mark said. I don't know what his name was. Marky. Yeah, but yeah. So you want to grab the arm? I'll send it to you. It was on Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal. Yeah. It's on. It's on the Wall Street Journal. Says what coming to a brain near you, a tiny computer. In the next 12 months, the number of people with brain-computer interface is set to double. And yeah, that's the new term. You know, as far as with when you go to the scriptures, there's things in prophecy where we terms like the glittering sword, which is talking about nuclear missiles, but then it requires a prophet to basically break it down to you so you can get an understanding of what's going on. So as far as with in the modern day, they're calling it brain-computer interface, or BCI. But then when you go into the scriptures, then that'll be the MOTB, the mark essentially of the beast. That's how it's referred to in the scriptures. So this was a thing that what you were told, you were informed by the RFID implantable CHIP, which that you go back 10, 15 years, then it's going to be an anomaly. It's not something that had then gone mainstream. And for a lot of people, they'll be like, well, say it's June.
Ain't no microchip.
But lo and behold, now it's May. Didn't even get to June yet. And what do we see? It's gone hella mainstream.
But this is why, it says Paul wrote the epistle as far as concerning the prophecy. He said that you are not in darkness and that they should overtake you as a thief. Because we're day by day, moment to moment, day by day, we're keeping a steady eye on things concerning prophecy. So you see these things are being put in place. Even if it's just sensationalism, you have to take it with a pinch of salt that possibly could happen. Why are they introducing this information to the public? It may not be that severe, but that might be priming the mind of people as far as this thing is what's next. You always have to be, even for example, there's one I know you see because you come by the meeting, you always see it. You don't really talk to us, but you come by and see it all the time. Like when I was over there waiting for you, he basically came up to me, here's a bottle of water. And I was like, nah, I've got one. I was going to show him my water in my bag. And then scripture just he that have a prophet a cup of water shall receive a prophet's reward. I said, let me just take it from him because it's the most high probably put the spirit on him to he's been meaning to do something and this just seems like goodwill gesture. So let me take it. And that's how man's mind always maneuver. It's like, hey, you have to think scripturally as far as whatever's happening. So whatever's happening, it may be a to suffer through the spirit. Alright? So anything that's happening, always feel it and measure the time diligently. But that's what
So as I say, a high-stakes technology race is playing out in the human brain. Brain-computer interfaces already letting people with paralysis control computers and communicate their needs, and will soon enable them to manipulate prosthetic limbs without moving muscles. And the initial appeal, the initial draw was always, hey, shalom.
Shalom. Yeah, I was from Shabbat. Sister. Hey, shalom, bro.
This is what the year ahead is pivotal for the companies behind this technology. Fewer than 100 people to date have had a computer interface permanently installed. In the next 12 months, that number will more than double, provided the companies with new FDA experimental use approval meet their goal of clinical trials. And yeah, that's something that's been pushed for a hot minute, essentially to further develop, like jamming, microchips into people's heads. It's something that has been in the realm of like science fiction previously, to where, and that's what's enticed people. People in their mind are thinking of what's a movie? I don't know, like
What the hell's the one called? Not Training Day. I'm thinking of
What kind of movie?
Total Recall.
Yeah.
Like Total Recall, Blade Runner, all the kind of not post-apocalyptic, it's called cyberpunk.
Dystopian. Yeah.
Dystopian cyberpunk movies. They always have the appeal of the raw being that you have advanced technology, warmer sleeves on their altered carbon as well, altered carbon, where they kind of think the whole dystopian aspect, the power and control aspect to it. Bus is coming by.
I think the traffic's been bad, right?
Yeah, it's like jammed up in like no time. It's hell of they're just fucking making noise. But then with those cyberpunk movies, it's basically brought that appeal of where when you've got that technology and that means to kind of go, oh, you can interface with this, and you can control this with your mind, or you might have like cybernetic limbs or whatnot, you can maneuver with. Those are things that people don't run into. But then the other, the true scope of it is who you basically allow to jam those things into your mind. Because as far as for you to do it, if you're the ones that are doing it, it's all ESOL. It's ESOL systems, ESOL's company. And then with that, then it's like, okay, who's ESOL? Yeah, well, you have to go to the scriptures.
Let me at this point just to build on what you're saying. This is gradualism on Google search. It says gradualism is a concept that refers to the idea that change happens in small incremental steps over time rather than in large sudden leaps. It's a hypothesis or theory that change is gradual in nature and occurs gradually rather than in large steps.
Yeah, even something good to line up with that is accelerationism. We have people that, and accelerationism is something that is a philosophy that really applies to those who who have a significant amount of wealth, control, power within the system. They've got a desire to want to push technology and society forward, whatever that means. And that means basically what? Further development of technology, and they kind of desire and want to see it push forward to its apex. And then with, when you go to BCIs, as they're called, which is essentially the MOTP, that's an encapsulation. So these are things that actually people have looked at, and they're thinking like, oh, they've got one idea in their mind, but then as far as for how the elite desire to use it, it's a system of control. It's an extension of all the frameworks they're basically building. As people are looking at crypto, the key technology that even makes crypto viable is a blockchain. What's the blockchain? Decentralized, immutable ledger, where you can track every movement of funds within that ledger independently. Everyone else can verify everyone else's transactions. So you can essentially keep track perfectly of how all these resources move around. That's really the core of crypto. People are making coins, people are saying, oh, wealth-based profit. Then the core of it really is that ledger. And then another aspect as well is well, I'll read on a bit. It says, well, Apple this week announced its intention to allow these implants to control iPhones and other products. So Apple's basically making it part of their ecosystem. And you already have, iOS, the Apple ecosystem, where if you have a MacBook, an iPad, an iPhone, what else? Apple TV, and what's the Apple Vision? Apple Vision Pro, the VR headset thing, the virtual reality headset. these things are already in the ecosystem where you can have something in your phone and send it to your Apple Vision, something in your Apple Vision and send it to your MacBook, something in your MacBook, send it to your iPad. Like, all these things already communicate with one another. And that's the thing, the same, you can set those things up with Windows, with Android, with whatever. They'll have the ecosystem. But then a lot of bringing all those ecosystems together is when you get into near field communication, remote frequency identification, RFID, and then
radio.
Radio. I think radio frequency. Remote. Radio frequency identification, and well, I said NFC already.
They're the main two.
That allows and 5G as well. 5G and possibly eventually 6G as well, where you get higher speeds. The communication between all those things is then have all these different technologies bouncing off one another.
Otherwise known as the internet of things. I think you have another one, it's the internet of people, something like that. It's the next grade of it.
Yeah, it's now, everyone has bigger ones inside their mind. That says there are dozens of so-called neural networks. 4 lead the field of implants, paradromics, synchronization of neuroscience, and Elon Musk's which in some ways is the most ambitious form. All but paradromics have reached a point which they are putting tech inside people's heads. Each has its own approach. And yet, as they said, all but one is already jamming people's heads. So that's the reality of it is it's already well underway. And it says it, well, I'll read a bit further, because it began with saying like, oh, there's people that are paralyzed and controlling robotic limbs. That's been the whole push initially. It says, well, each has its own approach, each has its own approach, and all offer reasons they believe their product will come out ahead. All 4 are betting they'll eventually become a standard part of care. Ridiculous. Standard part of care for tens of thousands, perhaps even millions of us. The prize thereafter, Morgan Stanley projects a $1 billion a year ECI market by 2041. So it's something where it's intended to become mainstream, to go to where everyone's talking about. Because what, $1 billion a year? They're looking at everyone. They're not thinking about how many crippled men there are there, how many mentally disabled or whatever that require technology in this level just to engage the outside world. Are there? There's obviously not enough. But then what is something that is looking to go mainstream so that everyone can be involved and utilize it.
Let me read it. Daniel 12:4. But thou, O Daniel, let me start from 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. There shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even at that same time. Daniel 12:1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, great prince, which standeth for thy people, for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time.
Yeah, there'll be a time of trouble. There never was, even before. And that's the thing, is a big aspect of why how this mark's going to be implemented is the state of the world. We're teaching the Bible. We're teaching the Bible.
The Holy Bible, we're teaching the Bible.
Oh, are you Jehovah's Witnesses?
No. We're Israelites.
Yeah. It's interesting. So you come from one of the 12 tribes of Israel?
Yeah.
So, because I'm a Jewish family, I'm Muslim. now there's been research that Ashkenazi Jews aren't really Jews. Did you know that?
Yeah. There was a book.
So you
written-
are from the Queen of Sheba.
No.
Which one? Right? Which tribe are you from?
We're from the tribe of Judah. That's what we believe.
Judah.
Yeah. You see, Queen Sheba never had sex with Solomon. She just went to scare his wisdom. Solomon actually said he was a black man.
Oh, okay. So that you're from one of the sons of Jacob.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
not too sure. You don't sound like you're too familiar with the history of Jacob and his sons.
I was. Tribes that come from Jacob.
Well, okay.
Levi, Cohen. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Levi and Cohen are more or less the same. Cohen is Kahana, which means
Oh, I see.
so Levi is, or Levi is the Levites.
That's right. Yes.
Judah, Yehudi, as you say him, or
Yeah.
Yahweh, as we say him, is Jew.
Yeah.
The reason why you say you're a Jew is because during the time of the kingdom of Judah,
Yeah.
the tribe, the people within that kingdom, which were basically Judites, Levites,
Yeah.
and Benjaminites, were basically all called the kingdom of Judah.
Okay.
So that's why even when you read in the Bible, I know you probably
I'll read the Quran now, but so what part of the Bible are you reading?
well the whole Bible.
You mean New Testament and the New Testament?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Isn't it interesting? I didn't know that the 12 tribes, these are all descendants of Jacob, yeah?
Yes. Because
They're
the
all
people
his
that
sons.
yeah,
Where's
because
Joseph?
where's who?
Joseph.
He's known as Ephraim, because you remember he had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and then he presented in Genesis 48, he presented them to his father, and then basically he said, "These are my children," because he was in Egypt, so he never met. They never met his father, so he said, "Give them a blessing." Then when he presented his two children. He put Manasseh. Ephraim was a younger, and Manasseh was an older. So he presented Ephraim to his left hand and Manasseh to his right hand, because the right hand is meant to get the blessing of the firstborn. But what he did is he went like that, and he said, "No, why you do it? Joe, don't do that. That he's the eldest. He's meant to get the blessing." And he said that because it would take basically Ephraim would take up in the place of Joseph.
Okay, well thank you very much.
But basically,
The reason why we have these 12 is we're going to the book of Revelation.
Yeah.
It's chapter 7, I believe. It basically breaks down the 12 tribes. 12 tribes that
Okay.
the elect are.
Shalom, bro.
12 tribes that the elect essentially.
Yeah, back the camera. I tell you.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm
back the
saying.
camera.
But
Okay.
yeah, the tribes that essentially would be around the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So,
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
See you soon. Yeah. God. Well, a nice girl. Kind of bugged out.
yeah.
Well, that's what I said. She's kind of cool. No, it's just the fact that she's Jewish. It's just like, nice, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but then that's the thing. It's like it's like those in the land, bro. It's as far as they see it, it's like a heritage, like a nation. Then the reality, like it's all news.
Could you tell me where the Waldorf Astoria
What up? I have no idea.
Oh, no, that's around the corner. You want to go down there, and I think it's straight down to the end, and then you take a right. And I believe it's there. Yeah. Because all the hotels are down there. Yeah. You want to go towards Woodbridge, which is right there. The bottom of this road, and you take a right. I remember I walked past it, I was like, it's a fucking dummy hotel. Like, it's
I think it's
there's a couple.
if it's the one up
Because it's
there.
other opposite
other-
Savoy.
Okay.
Savoy.
Oh, Savoy thing.
Yeah, it's around there, like all over there.
So I think
Like,
the Savoy is the one you can access from the riverside.
Yeah.
That's a little road that goes in.
I really want to tell these people, like, go away, but they say stuff.
Yeah. It's a bit much to just kind of like trouble all that energy. Like when it's not really there.
It's just like bothering. We're going down there.
What did you read the within?
Daniel 12 first. Daniel 12.
The weirdest shit, like the way everyone's kind of taken up for Palestine.
Now what, the video was fucked, I can't lie.
Yeah.
They'll get done.
That's what it's they're getting fucking absolutely destroyed over there.
and the Jews can't really say it's something Jews.
The defense, yeah, they were defending it. It's like, to this, it's like, you defend yourself, okay, to an extent, sure. But then it's like, that was in 2022, was it? Or 2023? Like
Babies.
and it's like, now it's just like, I'm like, bro, like the shit's on lock. Like, you really need to be now. You don't. You really don't.
We read on. So verse 1.
Yeah, bro.
Listen, I know it's like
It's
bro,
just like,
we
the way,
teach.
Because the way he urges, I'm like, bro, there's a man on indicator, and then they're just kind of like pulling up. And there's something you fucking man on like, bro, you know,
Don't read on. So it says verse Daniel 12:1, mid-verse. It says, and at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in a book. Right? It says, and many of them that sleep, dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt.
yeah. So out of the chosen so-called Negroes, Hispanics, the Native American Indians, you're gonna have those where those are like stand for Yahweh and stand for the truth. They're gonna receive their reward at the time, and then you're gonna have those that didn't stand for Yahweh, basically, went hand in hand with Esau. They're gonna have that shame on them because they're gonna realize then what, be in their right mind. Then they'll be aware, like, oh, when Yahweh was around, I was doing some low down, dirty shit. And, they're going to have to hold that shit for a minute. That's the things that we're coming into. And that's the thing, it's like, I remember this guy who tell that, like, oh, well, I'm not going to be in the kingdom, why don't I just enjoy myself now? But then, that in and of itself it's an insight into your mind, man. You're viewing these things. Because in reality, like, what's there to enjoy? So if you got a righteous mindset, like, what can you do out here? What's possible? There's no.
That's the problem. They don't have a righteous mindset. So reading on, it says verse 2, and many of them that verse 3, sorry, and they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. That's been a point, verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, charm the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end.
Yeah, the words were sealed until the time of the end. You had during the Dark Age, campaigning to get Jerusalem back, to so-called establish the kingdom of heaven. Them men were thinking they were establishing the kingdom of heaven. You had the Vikings thinking Ragnarok was coming in like the year 1300 or something in and around 1300. Them men were thinking, that everything was going to end right around then, and then started mixing out with Christianity as they were converted. There was all kinds of confusion going down. But as far as for understanding, now we're in that time. Now we're in the time when we go into and break these things down. The reason why we can line up these plantable microchips and the prophecies talking about them is because why? Knowledge has been increased. The seal that was on the book, it's been unsealed. And then just as with, we learn from our teachers, we're able to then teach as well to break these things down correct. Because as far as who the fuck knows or knew who's going on, was able to break down, especially the book of Revelation. If you're to go to Christians that were about, even like 20 years ago, on those Christian TV channels or cable TV channels for Christianity and whatnot, different churches, them breaking down Revelation, you're going to get all kinds of confusing soup. Nowadays, you might get people that know a thing or two because they've been watching the apostles. That's why. They went to the source. But then prior, who knew shit? No one knew shit.
I got this. Revelation 20:11. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before the Most High, and the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is a book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works.
Yeah. Judged according to their works. Is it Hebrews 9:17?
Oh, you're talking about the judgment?
Yeah. Because there's one that looks up, the second episode looks up about
After death, no, second, it's 9:27.
Oh, 9:27. Yeah.
Hebrews 9:27. And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this the judgment.
Yeah, after death, the judgment. And that's the thing is as far as for how we maneuver now, that's the reason why we move with fear, which is why we're out here doing what we're doing now, prophesying and telling people the good news, whether they hear or forbear. It's because why? We know after death comes the judgment, and that's a big aspect of the huge gap between Jacob and Esau, which has been there from birth. When you go to, it said, what, 2 manner of people, you go to Wisdom of Solomon 2, then as far as Esau was saying, he said, in death there's no remedy. So let's enjoy all the beautiful things. Let's crown ourselves with rosebuds. Let's enjoy all the goodly, pleasant things. Their mindset is YOLO, you only live once. Their mindset is enjoying and maximizing all the resources, all the goods out of the world, so they can enjoy it. Because why? They're thinking, well, fuck it, why not? I had it. I have to preach that I'm going to go to that
I remember the chain with the break. That's how I remember. I was remember them all together. Like, this, man. So I can remember them. Anyway, I'll read this precept and go back to where I was. Luke 9:24. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. For what is a man advantage if he gain the whole world and lose himself, or be cast away? For whatsoever shall be ashamed, for whosoever shall be ashamed of me and of my words, of him shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he shall come in his own glory and in his Father's and in the of the holy angels. But I tell you of a truth, this being a point, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the kingdom of the Most High.
Yeah, that reward, man, of eternal life. That's the thing is that's really what we're working for. We're striving for that reward.
I was just saying, look, I'm simply from the same slow. I jumped the gun.
Actually forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's quite. Well, what I was gonna say is it goes in with about after death shall the judgment come. So there's some people that are already basically the nailing of their old self to the cross, you know, and being born again, as was told to Nicodemus. That was the last time they died. You know, they don't have to physically die. They're just gonna translate, you know, those that died in Yahushua, they're gonna be risen up first, alright, and then the ones that are still alive are gonna be taken up alongside with them to meet Yahushua in the clouds. So, you know, like you said with the judgment, there's some man that just they don't have to die.
These are things that it's deep. Yeah, these things are deep to people in the world, because as far as but something as simple as circumcision is a deep mystery to people in the world as well. That's something that's like, you talk to people, they're just kind of like, oh, why would you do that? Like, why would you, which, if, you know, from a worldly perspective, you just think, why would you do that?
Yeah.
But then that's part of the mystical aspect of it.
The Most High made that just for you to do that.
Yeah? And
Like,
then,
that's
and
the
then as
reason
well,
why it
it's
exists.
like, it's something that you could have partook in, like, you didn't even have the means to even partake in it. And then it's you know, but then lo and behold. And that's like, there's a lot of angles to it. Then especially when you think about with the dynamic of Abraham, when Abraham was on the scene, how it was when it was first brought in. Then you think about dynamics like when it comes strangers, like with the Greeks, there's dynamics to it. And then you know, you think about what it represents. And then there's a lot to it. Even in it's something that's carnal, it seems simple. But then it's even with that, it has depth to it. Then how much more so with the
Did you mention Moses as well?
No.
Okay, yeah, that's another one.
Yeah.
The angel weaving in the ring.
Yeah.
But it's to your, you know, you already said that. Yeah. It's to your point that these things couldn't have happened within the word if that wasn't a law, statute, or commandment within the Bible. It's that simple. The Most High point made the thing for a reason. It's not something that just is there for like, you know, filler.
Yeah. And then people in the world, and that's the thing is, it's like you have what is it, female genital mutilation as they call it. Which
That's
is
an
just
overkill.
complete,
Yeah, that's
like,
the other side of the spectrum.
but just completely muddied the waters.
Yeah.
And then you have what do you call it? Muslims doing it. You have so-called Jews doing it. You have all these different groups now, just like dipping their toe in. So it's even more confused. But then, and that's the thing, it's there, like, and people are just looking at carnally the whole time. So it's like, as far as to break it down, so that's the thing. It's like a lot of things. It's like if you don't believe in the scriptures, they're gonna say, they're like, oh, so you believe a guy was alive in the belly of a fish for like an extended period of time?
Yes,
and then,
we do.
And then people are just like, what? So you think, and then even you know, Jake ruling during the Dark Ages. Those are things that
That's easy.
yeah. But then that's the thing. It's like there's various degrees to it, where it's like people might even get small parts of it, but then they're like how much they really know, how much they really holding down. Not much. 2 Corinthians 14:35. For after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again, and then shall the names of the righteous be manifest, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared. So yeah, we'll live again, and that's where, you know, will be evident whether, you know, the judgment is being played out, whether it's you know, the righteous or the ungodly, and that's hilarious part, man. That's a joke part of it as well, because it's taking place on the planet Earth. So you come back out here, and then these things play out, and that's like people are. That's the thing. It's like even with you know, the afterlife as they refer to it. These are things that you know, people wrap their brains over. They're trying to get an understanding. But then the reality is that most people have just taken up Esau's claim. They're just like, oh, there's nothing there. But then, because of how they approach their life, the reason Esau has that approach is because how he lives his life. These men are going out there, rape, robbing, stealing, being low-down degenerates, fulfilling all their lusts, to where if they did have to be held to account, there's no way in hell they want to deal with it. Of course, they're just going to be like, no, fuck it. We're not, what do you call it? No, after you die, it's done, that's it. There's nothing else. Of course, they're not going to want judgment. And then even with that as well, people in the earth wanting judgment. What the society stemmed from that mindset, Esau system, people complain about, hey, it's what judgment, man, like a judgment. That's something, there's a reason why those systems set up and put in order for judgment. Because why? That's something that can cause people great distress, man. I'll be like, yo, what the fuck is even the point of living?
You got more on that? Alright, this is Job 20:4. No, it's down not, it's of old, since man was placed upon earth. The triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment.
Yeah, don't triumph from the wicked is short. The joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. That's the thing, is with, and the view that most people have is a short-term view. We're reasoning before we kicked off camp as well. It's like the way people look at the world, they're not factoring in events even from 100 years ago, let alone 50, 250 years ago, to understand why things are in the state that they are at present. That people really aren't clued into or aware, like, oh, what went down, what went down in history, so that the world's in the state it currently is. They'll just think like, oh, this is just the state of how things are. Or they might take up the viewpoint of like Hollywood or TV, where you essentially have it as every time in history, essentially people behaved like and interacted the same way they do now.
Right. And even to take the mindset or to take the ideal of the world's a stage. The Most High, this is the world's a stage. This is the Most High's theater. All right. If this is a theater. This movie is, 7,000 years odd deep, 6,000 odd years deep. Yeah? That means we're at the end of the movie. So there's a lot to go back on to really get a gist of what's happening, where we are in terms of, is this the end scene when the bad guy he had his time of rule and now he's going to be blast back into the Stone Age, or is it the time where the good guy's taking over? Like, you need to understand where we are in time. Because if you walked into a movie and there was 10 minutes left and then there's a horse riding up into the sunset, you might think, oh, this is a good movie. But you don't know if it was a horror movie where the bad, that was the killer, the serial killer riding off into the sunset. You can't get a true idea of what happened in the movie. So this is the same way people are walking around up and down the world and they don't realize what's history and how it actually echoes throughout the course of time. Right? Where you don't know that, you don't understand that what we're seeing right now is a snapshot of what's been going of the world as it's been throughout the course of history. So let me read on with this. It says, verse 6, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him, who shall say, where is he?
Yeah, though his excellency mount to the heavens. That's the thing, is now you have various monuments, even if you just count London, to Esau's greatness, his pride. But then, all those things, it's the same thing where, what's it called? The Hanging Gardens of Babylon. There was a point in time where Babylon was the principal civilization on earth. That was where everyone on earth had to go and supplicate themselves unto. Then they had the Hanging Gardens, which was the peak of their beauty. But then lo and behold, Now, you know, we was talking about you can't even go and see a hanging gardens. Even with Egypt, you have the pyramids. Those are in disrepair.
Even the Babylonians can't even go into their land. They exist in East Africa. Right? Where they establish themselves in the Middle East, they can't go back there no more. Right?
So it's going to be the same thing with Esau. All that he's built, but now it seems like, oh, this is, you know, it's great. Wow, people are coming and doing trips. There's tour buses, tour guides, where you can go and see all the nice little bits of London when you want to go and enjoy yourself. But then there'll be a point in time where you know all those things are going to cease to be. It's not even going to be a thing that people are going to even have in their mind. They're not even going to be. They're going to be like, wow, wait, hold on, that guy ruled. That guy had a rule. This guy.
They feel about the Babylonians. We told you the Ethiopians are were running this to them, man. You'll be like, there's no way. You couldn't believe something like that. Let me read. So it says, verse 8, he shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. The eye also which saw him shall see him no more. Neither shall his place any more behold him. So that goes right, bro.
That's the thing is as far as, and that's like the reality is there's various kingdoms that can't be seen. I'm listening to a podcast, like an 8-hour podcast talking about what were they called? The Huns. The Huns and how they basically it began of a Muslim historian talking about I believe it was I think it was around Turkey. It was like a group of cities around Turkey, and he was lamenting the beauty they used to have before the Huns came in and decimated it to where there was nothing left. And that's the thing, if you go through history, there's going to be countless points in time.
It's the crime. You guys rock.
There's various points in history that you can go through where there's whole civilizations, whole towns, whole cities, whole countries, where at one point in time it was built up to a supreme point of excellence. And now you can't even go and find, all you're going to find is maybe a few underneath the ground, a few like blown out houses or whatnot, maybe a few roads or what, like they're done. And that's something that people are aware of when you're talking about history. But then as soon as you apply it to this modern civilization, people think like, oh, one end. That's an alien concept. But then that's a big part of Esau's control of narrative and image. The way people think of the world now is as if everything that happened before is an extension of Esau's rule. It's essentially now we're at a point where there's a logical progression of how people develop to where this is the greatest, smartest, most inspired, the most, like anyone that would develop a civilization, this is where they'll end up. That's really the mindset everyone's in. They think, oh, you know, for a while, feudalism, then you'll try this, then you realize, oh, democracy is actually the best way. Democratic republic. That's the best way to kind of centralize power and control. So that's the viewpoint people have in their minds. But a footnote. This is a cliff note. As far for now, when you go to Revelation 20, what's it say? The devil must be a little Caesar. Now it's not. Esau, you go back 600-700 years, Esau's not going to be anywhere near the same level of prominence. He's, you know, scraping his way out of the caves, beginning to take power and control in certain places.
Let me read this back up. Spark 16:5. Many such things have I seen with mine eyes, and mine ear hath greater things than these. In the congregation of the ungodly shall a fire be kindled, and in a rebellious nation wrath is set on fire. He was not pacified toward the old giants, fell away in the strength of their foolishness. Neither spared he the place where Lot sojourned, but abhorred them for their pride. He pitied not the people of perdition who were taken away in their sins, nor the 600,000 footmen who were gathered together in the hardness of their hearts. I forget the 600. No, it's I looked it up. 600.
Probably in the north.
I think it was in the Judges.
Because it could either be, well, actually,
No, we look it up because I know where it is. Because I looked it up, but I thought I put a note of it. And I read this earlier this week. I think it's story in no, it's talking about Egypt. The 600.
yeah, so what's
600,000
they were swept into
into the night. It's open sweat. But the both sides basically.
yeah, go for sweep. That's what I was saying. I was like, it's probably setting the hardness of their hearts as well. Like, we are Pharaoh's father when they left. So we did take.
Let me know a little bit. There be one stiff-necked among the people it is marvel that he escaped punished. Mercy and wrath are with him. He is mighty to forgive and to pour out displeasure. As his mercy is great, so is his correction also. He judgeth a man according to his works. The sinner shall not escape with his spoils, and the patience of the godly shall not be frustrated. Make way for the word of mercy.
The judgment is going to be broad, just like the mercy is legendary as well. Because there's people where so look at the works of even Saul. So you look at Saul was persecuting the church. When it was what? It was Stephen, where his body was placed before Stephen, Stephen, where his body was put before him, and he was consenting to his death. But then lo and behold, that got flipped. That's like a legend. He was a prominent man in the spirit as well. It wasn't even just like it was given a mercy, okay, you can just be there. But no, he was a prominent, there was a whole office given to him. A significant office. The kind of...
Well, Peter even was meant to occupy the office, but his office was magnified beyond Peter's. Because remember, that's why he withstood Peter to his face. Because basically he was meant to be an apostle, Simon Cornelius, be an apostle to the Gentiles basically. But as Paul broke it down in the epistle, he basically be cool with them, when there's a... But then when, an Israelite, nation comes around, to basically fan them off and stand aside from them to basically maintain his coolness with those of the tribes. And that's why Paul was really built for that office, because why? He was a man that grew up as a so-called Greek, in a sense. He knew the Latin, he knew the Greek. He was more accustomed with their learning and their way of life, so he could be able to bridge the gap for them, to bring them into the but that was all done, through this guy being a demon, the mission of the children of Israel.
And then even with that whole avenue being opened up was necessary, because you get into the time, and it's like there ain't even no circumcision. Everyone's circumcision. Everyone's out here where you're just, out in the world eating ham sandwiches, not keeping the Sabbath. Where like after you come into your majority, you're not keeping the Sabbath. You're cooked. Like you're meant to be done. So like everyone it's like all of you now are really meant to be done. But then what? It's because of that mercy, which is on a legendary scale, and as well, mercy
So that basically
and the door.
judgment.
Yeah.
Same way he's greatly merciful, the same way he's gonna judge you. So if you like, it reminds me of basically, people that take their time as far as turning to the Lord. You think that, I can do it. Oh yeah, he'll let me spare me this time. Yeah, I can get away with doing that. Oh, it's all right. But one day there'll be a day where you can't. That mercy that the Lord is allowing you to take His name or His greatness in vain. There's going to be a day of reckoning, whereby I gave you all those chances, but now, the example I'm thinking of the Book of Luke, where you had those that Yahweh Shai spoke about it, those that were basically presenting their offering on the altar, and the Most High had them slew by Herod's men, like the centurions. They were offering their offering. Their blood was mingled with their offering. So it showed you it's too late. You wanted to go up there and offer an offering to the heavenly Father. You had no acceptance of the offering. And it says in the book of Job, whereby the innocent perish. I forget the scripture. You know what I'm saying.
Now you take the
Whereby the innocent perish or something like that. Job.
Oh yeah. Job 4:7. Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where would the righteous come up? Yeah, who perished being innocent. That's the thing. Is fun. Bug out. Someone's rocking in. But then it's as far as understanding judgment. What is judgment for? It's something that happens after you die. Then you receive the judgment and it plays out on earth. And that's the thing is as far as after you come to life, then you chill for like 6 months. Then a missile gets dropped on you in Palestine, and then you're back. There's a variety of ways they can take place. But that's the fullness of it, man. Is who perish being innocent. People will think that's why it's, in the modern age that term a good person is the most vague in like that don't mean shit. Diddy was a good person
Until he wasn't.
he still is.
Yeah.
As far as the function of the term goes, like what was people say, oh, he's a good person, bro. Based on what, bro? You don't know shit about them. And that's really the confusion of it. It's like, how are you really going to call someone good? Well, no, what is that? You have to be a serial killer, man. You have to be chopping up, young men in his basement and eating their legs. Like, what, how do you know? You say, oh, yeah, I know it. He's just a good person. He's a good fella.
He ain't eating that cow for the, I want the leg.
Hella frozen legs. It's freezing.
Scrap everything else. I want to eat my leg.
But that's why it's as far as that concept carries weight for people. And the thing is all those people that is really justifying a bunch of vile behavior, a bunch of confusion, a bunch of mess. Where it's like, oh, but if it's like, is he taking care of it, like certain worldly things, then you're a good person. But then it's just like, oh. And a big part of that is that Hollywood shit, man. Because it's especially like the having mercy. It's like you want revenge on someone. Wanting revenge on someone by killing them is a bad thing. That's some Hollywood shit.
2 Thessalonians 1:6. See, it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense them that trouble you.
Yeah, it's righteous, it's just. That's why it's like even jealousy is the rage of a man. It's these are like
The thing is, you don't play with fire. You don't want to get burnt. You know, there's just a commonality.
Yeah.
You don't do something.
That's the nature of men, and that's the thing is as well. Is it is that's the nature of men. That's how people. It's like if someone. That's why you had sanctuary cities, man. Because even if by accident you kill someone's brother, they might be like, "Kill my brother."
But that's even why they had the
Sanctuary cities.
the cities of refuge, because between point A and B, point A being the place of the crime committed, and B, the place of refuge, is open season. You know, in terms of your life being taken, but it doesn't mean that they'll be spared judgment. You know, because if it comes to being found out that we did do it in manslaughter, innocent, head of the axe just fell off and slew the man you was with, through the gets revealed. Regardless, you're gonna lose your life. Do you know what I mean? You understand that jealousy is a rage of a man. Get the fuck out of Dodge. Go where you need to, where you can, have a true trial and be judged.
Yeah. That's the thing is these things. That's why there's 613 laws. That's why it goes into detail on these things. Because when there's dealings between men, there's all kinds of factors you need to mitigate for. And then within Esau's system, it's there's no consistency. It varies depending on the judge you get, the jury you get, the city you're in,
the weather on the
different
day.
yeah. It's, if his wife just cheated on him, his wife fucked out on him, and he walked in on her that morning, and then he has to come and judge your case. What the hell? What? How the hell are you? And then you look just like the guy that was doing it. And he's thinking, no, I'm sending this guy to hell. This guy's thinking, fuck that guy, bro. I'm getting my revenge right now. Well, he's meant to judge him righteous judgment, man. But then that's why you have the word of the Lord. And that's what you're meant to go by. But then as far as the way people, like now, because everything's been made nebulous and confused, then that's why all kinds of, that's why someone call himself a good person. And that's why in reality, when actual judgment, righteous judgment goes out, people get feelings. Was it OJ?
It was like so. I mean, he definitely didn't get away. He's always murdered, from what I can determine. But I don't know anyone else that would damn near decapitate his wife. For finding out she was fucking the next guy. You know what I mean? That's a crime of passion right there.
But then
he's strong enough to probably do something like that with a knife.
Yeah, he can use his.
Because he said apparently one guy said, like, if she never answered the door, she won't die. You know what I mean? Apparently.
It's possible.
That's the OJ.
Because he could have been just like,
he's a strong guy. You know what I mean? That would definitely be sharp enough blade.
Some work. Read on. So back in this Wall Street Journal, it says, other than perhaps the quest for human-level artificial intelligence or colonization of other planets, not coincidentally two other areas where Musk is a big proponent, few fields exhibit such a wide gulf between their technology's potential and its near-term prospects. So yeah, they're looking as far as they're looking to the future. They're looking to develop it. They're looking to utilize it at a much wider scale than anything you see actively being utilized at present. And that's the thing is, that's how it is with all these technologies. AI is a big one. When AI was first introduced, it was brought in as it had potential, and really it was in like science fiction. Because what you call it was like HAL 9000, the 2001: A Space Odyssey. That was what, the 60s? Like you had even with like, what was that movie, Metropolis? It was in 1927.
921, I think.
27.
20, okay, you checked it recently.
I had to watch it for uni,
Oh,
like
okay,
way
so
back.
okay.
So I've had it loaded. So I always
okay.
see it when I'm going for my movies in
Yeah.
1927. It was like that was something that was what was it? It was automation, robotics. This is before World War II. This is when there weren't even fucking it's like even basic technology weren't as developed. Like how would man didn't even, I don't even know if they had but they would have had AC current. Yeah, they would have had certain technology. But it might have not been like that. The power grid might not be fully set up. Certain things might not be fully set up. But it's like by the 20s, it was like that was when cars were still being developed. They weren't that advanced. There was a lot of technology still being developed back then. But then they were looking to what? To automation, to robots, to and whatnot, and then having a city function without the need of people. And then it's like what 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's basically looking at technology like you can go off to space and you just have an AI that's in charge of everything. And then these are the things that people are now trying to bring into fruition because even you have was it like Google Home, Amazon Alexa, Siri was the Apple one, and then you have like a Google Home device or the Amazon Alexa device where you kind of talk to it and then say, turn on the heating or close the window. Like when you've got a smart home with like a smart fridge or whatever, even though you can set it to like order food when it gets low, milk or whatever, you can have it order milk when it gets low on certain things. Yeah, there's all kinds of things you can link it up with. And that's the thing is as far as like AI would just be pushing those things to where it just kind of has sensors or inputs and then you don't even have to do anything. It just takes care of all that. But that's really what the draw, the appeal is. That's how they're kind of pushing these things to people. But then, it's like, it's nice to have, a home device. You just say, turn the lights off. You're in bed. When you're in bed and you forgot to turn the light off, you have to be like, oh fuck, I've got to get up and turn the light off. Being able to say, or the
That's why you
off.
fucking remember to turn the light off, isn't it?
Or you get a clap off.
Clap on.
Yeah.
But that's these things are okay. They make your life simple. We're talking about invading your person in order for that to be utilized. And then how deep does the rabbit hole go? In the latest Black Mirror with Tracy Ellis Ross, it shows you the wife. She basically had a disease whereby she was in a coma and they could find a way to get her out of the coma and keep her awake. When they showed that she took on a technology, the rabbit hole got deeper and deeper and deeper as far as subscription-based technology, whereby they can shorten your bandwidth, they can put certain things in place, whereby now what you're on, where you thought it was a premium level or the baseline level where it did, or it was what they told you it was going to do initially, now they say we're introducing a new level that we can use outside the confines of this, that, and other. You buy into it, and then wait another 6 months or so, same thing happens again. Next thing you know, you're turning out your pockets and you can't afford it. And your wife's gonna have to, you're gonna have to turn off your chip. Where does it really end? That's what you don't realize, and what you gotta remember as well, this man is the devil, alright? The devil incarnate. If just the movie The Matrix, when what's his name?
The movie The Matrix. like you need to survive.
You do, bro. People don't know the Matrix. Where Alex right now. You know what I mean? Some people don't know what book, and they don't know how groundbreaking that shit was. So they don't the red pill. They don't know that comes from the Matrix. They just think okay, there's a pill. You know what I'm alluding to the truth. But the point being is I know what you're saying, because it's our generation, like you have to say the Matrix movie, like fucking you. But the point being is that they don't understand that with the Matrix, in the movie The Matrix, the second one, what point I was gonna say? What was I saying before? What was the point that you threw me off?
It was about chip technology. Oh, was like they're gonna turn your chip
Oh,
off.
yeah.
Saying about the Black Mirror episode, like she was going to subscriptions, and then it's like you take it up with
No, I can't remember. Spirit didn't want it to come out.
But yeah, as it says here, well, it says few fields of activity. Yeah, a big gap between what's being it's being utilized for now and the potential it has to go to. And the thing is as well is people have into fiction. It's the same thing. You know, I was thinking, it's like, what's this fucking TV show called again? Adolescence. The Adolescence TV show. I still ain't watching it. But the videos and discussions around it is like you would think someone watched Andrew Tate and went and strangled a girl.
Yeah,
Like you would actually.
yeah.
The discussion has just been good. You know,
I got in on it. I got in on it.
that's when I think the way the discussions people are having is like man have been getting into the red pill and choking women out to death, like on a regular. Like every other weekend, you're hearing about you know Lindsay just got uppercutted by Little Timmy. Little Timmy said Bugatti, and then
Oh my lord, man, said Bugatti.
and then he uppercutted it. He uppercutted
My Bugatti. That's the fucking Manchurian candidate code. Bugatti.
Who pronounces the word like that?
Bugatti.
Bugatti. Ah, shit. But that's why I'm like, bro.
And you had a fucking, what's that?
Oh yeah, do it on the Kill Bill.
Yeah. Man, he's red. I'm going to, is Wayne Brady going to have to choke a bitch?
Yeah.
I ain't going Wayne Brady on this.
But that's why I'm like, bro, it's like looking at that shit. You know, these things, there's not much of them. But that's what, the way the discussion around that whole this now just become, oh, is it turning young boys into killers? Like the whole narrative is how it's presented in that TV series, rather than the actual reality of what's happening. Because like you've had teachers coming out and saying, oh, all the kids in all the boys in middle school are watching it, all of them are into it, blah blah blah. That's a thing. But then they're treating it like, oh, it's making like kids do violence against girls. I'm like, bro, it's not making the man them go out and choke out Cindy and Susie and Louise. Like that's not what's happening. But that's become the narrative. Just because and that's the same thing with the BCI. The whole potential of it, people are looking at. They're looking at movies. They're thinking, well, when you look in this movie, they had it where you could get these things implanted X, Y, Z. But then the reality of it, you should think is what? How much potential even is there? Because like with quantum computing, where they say, oh, we need like technology, they've got a theory of how they could do it, or a Dyson sphere, where you're meant to put like a shell around the sun, then you can get like even more energy, like basically essentially unlimited energy from the sun, or nuclear fusion. That shit was in Spider-Man in 2004, man. Nuclear fusion was like, or fusion, or fission, or whatever the fuck the term is, where they're essentially emulating what the sun does. Oh, the power of the sun in your hand, yeah, that was Spider-Man 2. Like those, like that technology, they've been theorizing about that since the fucking 50s. I remember watching YouTube been talking about what was going down. It said like, there's never been a point in time anyone has done a fusion reaction and got the energy out that they put into it. But then there was a whole, what's the word? Like there was a group of people saying they did that, but then it was, lo and behold, they went through the process of time, they realized like it was BS, and there was like a story about all that came out. Now I'm thinking, I'm like, these are the things that people like are looking at. like you can do because they see it in Hollywood. They're thinking, oh, we're eventually just going to get there. But then the reality is that some of these things are completely, mystical events. Those things are like, bro, for you to get there, that's something on a whole different scale of how things operate. Because for a lot of technology ESOL has is compact. It's like when you go from the vacuum tubes from the original PC, where you had that big fuck off room-sized PC with print out the little sheet with the little dots in it, and it had like the vacuum tubes of the lights and whatnot. That's basically just been compacted into a microchip, where all different switches are now managed by transistors, and then different forms like smaller forms of microchips. You have more and more switches able to be done. So you have more complex things able to be done. But there's a physical limit on how small you can get, and then how small you can get, how much like you can fit into one device. There's a limit on computation, and then once that limit is reached, it's done. All that the time period of time we had, like from the 50s into like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where you get like a new processor every year and a half, and then it'll be like way faster than the previous one. That hit a limit. Then they started doing, you dual cores. Then instead of dual cores, you got 4. Then instead of 4, you got 6. Instead of 6, you got 8. Then you get to 12, 16. Then it'll get to a point where it's done. And that's the reality. That's why they're looking for like quantum computing. But then that requires a whole different structure that they don't have any. They have a theory of it, but their function means to do it. No. And that's the thing with ESOL shit. It's like there's a cap on it. And the cap, surprisingly, is when implantable microchips was hit. You got small enough to get computation and capability you need. You still need to be done in prophecy within the technology. But then, what is it as well? Is people are thinking, they're still thinking, what you call it? Oh, we're gonna get some ancient mystical alien technologies.
No, that's for us. For us, man.
Exactly.
Them characters coming to and fro in the Americas and all over, where they're moving in comprehensible manner and defied of laws of physics. That's for the kingdom of heaven. Right? That's the Heavenly Father's technology that is going to be bestowed onto us, being joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. Right? So what you got right now is your blessing. Right? These crazy feats. So you might as well bring back the Concorde while you're at it. So
Yeah, then why the fuck not, bro?
Yeah. So you can fly from here to New York in 2 hours. Was it 2 hours?
2 hours. 2 hours, 20 minutes or something. I was thinking, I was like, bro, that shit was like, I was like, no wonder they didn't want to put that shit down, bro.
They should have.
I want to put the fuck down so I can be like,
It was one crash in it. One crash.
No, that was repeat. It was repeat crashes.
Oh, is it?
It was a huge scale. There was one where everyone died on it, but there was multiple crashes. Multiple, like it was, the technology was just not viable because it was essentially like a jet plane, but it did not have, like it would have required. The thing is, it was only Britain and France that were using it. They did a joint venture. No one else licensed it because the shit was cooked, and then only Britain, I think, was utilizing it until that huge fuck off crash. But it was like it was a concept, but then they needed to like develop it further, and I think the stigma of crashes was done. Because I remember watching the thingy documentary, I was like, why did they fucking get rid of it?
Yeah, I remember it crashed. Now I was giving up to one crash. I didn't know about the many crashes. In the words of the great man known as Tiny Temple, I'm pissed I never got to pattern a conk. Yeah, man. No, that was a great feat of technology. You know, you might as well redevelop that. Just, you know, the time is running down. You might as well, get some flights in. Celebrate New Year's in various places. You know.
Well, apparently, actually, the reason why they stopped it was because it was too loud. Because it was sonic boom.
Sonic boom. That's
I
what
think
I'm
you can
thinking.
only sonic boom over the, like people complain about in the UK, so they have to wait till over the Atlantic a certain distance, sonic boom, and then slow down before they get to the US. It was just
How much time did it take off the flight then?
It was fucking legendary. Even with that, I think it was still absurd. because it was the take-home speed was 250.
Bro, why do you vape like butterscotch? Like it's just like weird, man. Yeah, it's like I want like butterscotch. You know, Angels for Life, butterscotch.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, okay, it was 3.5 hours, London to New York.
Yeah, I remember. Remember,
Close to 8 hours, yeah.
had the books of all that.
Yeah. That shit was
remember reading that. I can't wait to get older.
yeah, fucking fly there. No time to back. It's actually fucking crazy. But then yeah, apparently they're trying to bring back shit to the flight days. So I remember the noise complaints because it was just like repeat sonic, which is why I think it's only viable transatlantic. If you go over any country, no one's gonna want to just have like boom, 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 boom all day long. That's like fucking Concords are flying about. But that's even, I remember it's funny because that's part of that approach to technology. It's just that eventual, just like incline of everything is going to get better or more complicated and blah, blah, blah. To a certain extent, yes. But then that's why you have the term, what is it, shitification. Where you have in the modern day, things will be developed, like a lot of things, when they were developed, they will find at some point, like apps is one of them, like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. There's probably a version you can go to in the past that was like, you were using that, it was like even iOS. For me, iOS 6, or even 5 or 6, probably iOS 5, that would have been iPhone 4, with the iPhone 4 that had the iOS. That shit was clean. That was one of the greatest user experience. Yeah, as far as it was like the way the iOS was set up and how it was simple enough. It was simple, the way shit was bouncing around, the way you could like reformat the homepage. It was set up clean. Once you basically perfected the design with iPhone 4, but then you need to make money. Everything needs to make money, and that's the thing with how each sort of system sells. You might it's like as far as you might develop, it's like the gun, the AK-47. It basically sold everything there, but it's like you own a weapon. You need to sell new weapons, so you need to develop new weapons. So you need a reason to be like, no, actually this is better.
But that's like I'm telling you about bike I was looking to get.
Oh yeah.
I told you the information on the tip. And then funny enough, like I said to you before, it was a year I remember it being the coldest bike. Like it was like that was his best ever iteration of that bike. Now they're saying, no, it's shit. And then funny enough, they actually discontinued it in 2018. Yeah. So now it's a more sought after model of the bike for those in the know, you know.
But that's thinking. That's why it's like with these what you call it. That's the thing with ESO. It's all the narrative. It's the mindset. He basically has the allure of the minds of the people. I remember even like Bentley buses. There's a point in time that Bentley seemed like the pinnacle of technology. Then you find out, oh, they bend too much, they take up too much space, it's hard to park, and this and that, which anyone could have told them before you even developed the bus about Bentley.
But then even it's like the fucking the Route Master 2, they're saying they want to take because Khan's bringing in the other ones.
Oh yes.
Yeah, they said they don't want to use it. Route Master 2 to me is
it's like
that's part of being in London, man. You know what I mean?
It's like trying to take it out. It's just, but then that's the thing. You need to develop. That's the capitalism at its core. You need something, a product, a viable product to sell to make more money. Your company needs to grow and it needs to value. But reading on it said there's a vision that this is going to be a mass consumer thing, which is a vision that you can sell. And yeah, that's really the core of it. It's going to be mass consumer. Everyone's going to be fucking with it. And that's the thing, is like smartphone technology really showed the viability of just everyone on the fucking planet Earth fucking with some shit.
They're hooked on their phone right now. You can't. You leave your house without your phone, man. You feel naked.
You're gonna feel
like
you're missing a limb.
Yeah.
How the hell are you gonna be? And that's the thing, is like you could have like dumb phones where all you can get is like calls, texts, even like
that's
a messenger or something.
That's what I love with dumb phones and drug dealer phones, shop phones.
But then it's as far as with them, then there'll be a lot of still like useful things. You'll kind of, you might be like, is this shop open? Or, there's, and it's like you just got used to being able to just go, Google search, blah blah blah, whatever. But then it's like all those like that form of usefulness. A lot of those things now.
Whereas instinctively you would have gone out and would have made it a thing made it your business to know certain things. So if you go to certain stores or certain places, it would have been mindful of you to ask, what time you open till? Yeah. And that would be like the general, well, everything was more localized than actually. When I go back,
probably go to like
20, 30 years. I mean, I don't want to say, you're saying the ends. I'm not saying the ends, bro. But I'm saying your local area, you would know, this shop, it closed at this time. You'd ask your mum, you'd ask, your relative, what time is this store closed? They'll say, all right, it's closed already. You would know certain places, you just can't know.
Yeah, you might remember that.
Because that's how I remember everything now. It's closed now. I want to get fish and chips. I want to get a portion of chips. Nah, it's closed. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know the chips was closed. But now, I just want to do the deal. See, we're from the East End, so we didn't have chicken and chips for a long time. We had chickens.
Chickens brand new.
Yeah, it was simple brand. Man was messing with the fucking wine, battered sausage and satellites, man.
Bars.
That was man's equivalent to 4 winks. The satellite or fucking battered sausage.
But that's what it's like, as far as with up to these things it's gonna go mainstream. Because it was even it's funny to imagine like, a PC. Getting a PC like in the 80s was initially PCs were seen as like essentially being used to do high levels of processing for like companies or universities or something, not just have at home. But then once it got cheap enough, people buy them at home. And it's funny because it's like PCs as well. There's a lot of these things that Esau did, the technology developed. The way you think of like, at the end of it, now as you understand it, the PC's been fully developed, it's sold. So you might just have thought, like, you just had, you had Windows or you had Linux or whatever, then it just developed into that, and then Windows 95, and 98, and what. But then as far as all these things, it was way more, it was completely like, it was not that refined or defined or that obvious of where things were going to go or what development meant or if it was an improvement or a downgrade or whatnot. These are things that it's like, and it's only in retrospect, it's like World War I and II. In the time, they were just like a conflict. It was just like, there's this war going on here or whatever. It's only after they kind of grouped it into neat bundles. And that's how it's with a lot of things Esau's established. You kind of, the way people talk about things is like they're solved, completely understood, like neat boxes. But then things aren't that simple. Because it's even with like a smartphone, you might think, the perfect state of like a smartphone. But then the technology can come in 6 months where it just flips everything on its head.
Revelation 13. That kind of alright. That's it. Revelation 13 and 3. And I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And the whole world wondered after the beast.
Yeah, the whole world wondered after the beast. You had that period of time where Rome was prominent. It was the principal nation on earth. and then it fell. It became Jacob, and then they had their time to rule and take over. But then what? After that, you then had the Renaissance, as they call it, the rebirth,
Which is
where
the healing of the world.
yeah, we have Esau come back into prominence, and what said that the whole world wandered after the beast.
Okay.
So everyone was basically looking to and emulating and following after. So basically just like, a gate, just like, wow, that beast is amazing. And that's really the mindset that they were in. But then the joke, that's how you really get the mindset now. People are really just in the mindset when they've been wandering after the beast, they still are. That's why all these different nations, the way they conduct themselves, structure themselves, is based on the beast. And that's a spirit that's been put on them, really.
Reading on, it says, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
Yeah, who's like unto the beast? Who's able to make war? They're really looking at America like, who's even capable of challenging or testing this guy? And that's because the main reason, just like with Egypt, says what in Isaiah 30, trust in chariots because they're strong. They're looking to, they sort of, especially the big figures is nuclear capabilities. When them bombs got dropped on Japan, that was when everyone was like, oh shit, these guys are the top dogs. They weren't even sharing that, Oppenheimer. They weren't even sharing that shit with other European countries. They're saying, no, fuck that, bro. If America's keeping that to themselves, we're getting that shit first. Because why? They were getting that prominence. They were getting that principle seat. And then as far as post-World War II, what do you have? You have America as the pinnacle of the New World Order that arose out of World War II.
It was for them to take up that mantle, to be able to be power of powers. So let me read on. So it says, and there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. But that's the reason why I read it, because you spoke about they're saying things like they're gonna be able to do this, but they're snake oil salesmen. They're selling you, they've done some stuff, but they're overselling what they can do to buy into it. Like the whole thing right now, Russia's got the hypersonic missiles, but they're saying that they've developed hypersonic missiles in the UK, in America, and these different places. But the reality of that is, have we seen it? We don't really know if that's true. But the fact they can sell it, they can sell wolf tickets, so to speak, is usually enough people to be at ease and comfortable.
Wolf tickets?
Yeah.
Wolf.
They're not saying wolf tickets.
Wolf.
Wolf. Oh yeah, I said wolf. Sorry, my bad. You know what that is? That's, when you say a word, yeah, and you kind of what's that word? Like you just, it's like free and free. Free and free.
Yeah.
Like you kind of just amalgamate the two together, like
Yeah.
wolf and woof. When she's saying no, like it's cool with me. Shit, I'm saying woof.
Yeah.
That's probably because when you listen to probably an American or someone said it a certain way, and I picked up after my vernacular, my diction.
That's how it is. It's like that American vernacular is
Yeah.
they don't speak English, they speak American.
But that's what I realized, because sometimes I say certain words and it doesn't come off clean, because naturally some words I say in a Cockney accent, some words I say proper English, like, and then that is a conflict with my mouth to say it. Because it's like, I can't articulate it well. Enunciate, that's the word.
That's the word. Enunciate.
That's why I said diction, I was thinking pronounce.
You have more?
Yeah, I do. Verse 6, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in the heaven. And that's what he's doing right now, you know. Even we saw it go by, it said there's a movie coming out, or it came out in April 60th, it's called Kings, written by Charles Dickens, and it had Caesar in the front.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, yeah, where? Like, even going against the things written inside of the word, in terms of prophecy, prophetic events, and things like that. You know, that's basically what the guy, that's blasphemy, you know? Guy,
Code up. First Timothy 6 and 20, O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoid profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. Yeah, oppositions of science, falsely so called. That's you know, a form of Esau's essentially presented his sciences as a form of wisdom, and you know, there's you know, some things you can take from some of it, but then others where it basically can just be straight BS that he's utilizing as kind of a foundation. Because even for him to get the nuclear bomb, the hydrogen bomb, the nuclear bomb, the atomic bomb, all these capabilities require an understanding of science and capabilities within us. But then that doesn't mean he's basically got every understanding of all things on the earth. There are certain things that were given onto him, certain things that he has, you know, he's basically been offered onto him. But then also there's things that are held back from him, like you were going into with the chariots. It's like he's not got the means to put together chariots. Those are things that have been held off. But then it's like you said, people they buy into it. They buy into his bluffs because why? They see, oh, he did this. It's like they went from, you know, less than 100 years ago. You know, these were like room-sized computers. Now you can hold it in your hand. So people think next, you know, well, what's you gonna do with your brain?
But then I even say, like, what if the chariots, it sounds like a weed talk. What if the chariots are achievements from the future coming back to visit us?
Yeah.
Because they know how to time travel.
Yeah, technology is so when technology gets so advanced, it basically seems like magic, kind of a thing. But then that's a desire.
I have to read this because this goes into it as well. That's what I was going to jump into after. Alright. Revelation 13 and 12. Exercising all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Yeah, doeth great wonders, man. Those nuclear capabilities were a huge aspect of what had people so in awe of America. That's really a big part of what people are like, oh, that was a whole different form of warfare capabilities. Even when you count World War I, artilleries and whatnot, and World War II with airplanes and various technologies brought in, blitzkrieg, what's after artillery? It was like, as those technologies developed, then people were just like, yo, they thought war was one thing. But then it's really like what it says in Isaiah 9 and 5. It said, for every battle of the warrior, confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So yeah, with you know, garments rolled in blood, it's like men on the battlefield, even if they're shooting each other, you know, you had bows and arrows, you had swords, chariots, etc., siege engines and whatnot, catapults, trebuchets, all these things. But then the further development of development of that is what, you know, guns, tanks, artilleries,
claymores and
mines and whatnot. But then when you just drop in a nuke on someone's head and a whole city gets wiped out, that's a whole different ball game. Because that's not even, they ain't even
drones as well.
they ain't even war.
Drones as well.
I'm just choking. I'm not supposed to speak.
Oh no, drones as well. Drones, you know, basically this is taking out the person, you know, the person.
I lived in the Middle East for 6 years.
Sorry?
I lived in the Middle East for 6 years.
Oh yeah?
In Kuwait, yeah.
How was it?
It was alright, yeah. It was okay. It's just funny to see the
Where you from?
Dublin.
Okay. You know,
I like seeing people.
t-shirt. Yeah, I get you. I know.
That's what we do. That's what we do. Probably not you today.
Yeah. But there's a reason why they're heavy on you. Because there's a reason they were so heavy on you guys.
Yeah, because we don't pay you. Go backwards. Yeah.
But you know, even what was Ireland called before? Hibernia.
That's Scotland.
Yeah. Sorry?
That's Scotland.
That's okay. No, Hibernia. That's it. Okay, yeah. Because that goes back to yeah. So
BC.
yeah. Because you guys are
Ah, yeah.
Hebrew
Like,
heritage.
if you go to fucking India, the white someone's with 2% Irish and
Yeah.
go anywhere.
Yeah.
Our population is like 7 million. And you look at the country, it's tiny.
That's the same with like the West Indians, Jamaicans specifically, the whole island, a lot of them claim heritage from Ireland.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
They're probably sent them.
Yeah, that's it. During
Who
the
was
time
the first
of
house?
yeah, we know.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
Alright, Keith. He's over right now.
Yeah.
I can smell the liquor.
He's an Irish chap, so you know he's probably just feeling buzzed, feeling good.
Oh no, of course.
He's singing. It's funny still because it's like the American racial dynamic. Like you've never seen that white people and other white people never like each other. They don't know it.
When you deal with that, what did I say? It's like, you know, the racial lines in America are so like black, white, boom.
Everything gets put into a slot.
Racial, and it's
Black,
like,
white.
bro, they were hanging. I was gonna say like an American Italians.
Italians.
They was hanging Italians and Irish. Why were they doing that? Why were they doing that? Because they knew there was a difference. They said they ain't fucking with us. And it's funny because the same thing when you deal with like Eastern Europe and Europe, there's a great divide.
Yeah.
Because they look at them like, nah, you're not the same as us. Because you have some of them that brown skin. Someone will tell you like, yeah, I'm Polish. You're like, you're dark skin. Like, you look like you're dark skin. But they tan very easily and things like that. But that's because these are racial lines. And obviously, America's been built where it's been built by design.
It's new in it, yeah.
Yeah. Because even there was a clip I saw where there was one French guy talking to two Americans, and he was saying like, oh yeah, he's saying like, yeah, black men, black men in our church, He said, why?
No, I'm not just something just that. Yeah, but like, honestly, like,
oh, you should go to it's a southern region of France.
No, I think
Augusta.
And I said that to you.
But they said, yeah, you should go there. The architecture is beautiful. The American guys in the clip, they were like mind-boggling to them because they didn't understand the nuance of like Europe basically, of like how there's a different type of, not to say like over here, you know, all of us are just, yeah, man, you're my guy, and then that's what was going on. But it's just there's a dynamic where certain people are in the know. They understand like, look, we go back to this people, that people. But we're not the same.
Yeah, everyone, and that's the thing. It's like that kind of connection. America intentionally cuts that off because the most people know is German heritage or Italian or whatever.
It's fun because today, even when I was out earlier, I see some girls and I looked to them and I was like, yeah, I think they had a little American in it. I looked to their massage and I was like, these are to you, and you all got brown eyes and dark hair, that you know, they may be Edomites. Don't get twisted. I'm not trying to save the white woman out here. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to say she's so. No, I'm not trying to do that. But I'm saying, you know, you can look at like, I'm around some crackers, yes, Edomites. So it's like, when I see certain people, like, you don't look like the ones I know. The ones that get bred like lobsters during the sun. Like, you don't look like, you know, due to racial lines, you got pushed over into that side, and then now you just cut through and do the things you're doing. But if you go into your lineage, you're probably like, you know, 4th generation Jacob or some shit, or Gaddite or something like that. You're not actually what you claim you are. You got anything?
Even not being in the sun as well.
Yeah, I gotta get a fucking light jacket. Oh yeah, but I'm not in the sun. I'm good. I'm getting home going with.
Yeah, you know, another week, man. You know, Lord willing, catch us again next week. Pray to see how God shares with our share.